you guys, welcome to my channel All Things Melisha, where I discuss a lot about what's going on in the political world, but also topics that pertain to everyday life in general. If you are subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you guys. If you see a video that you like, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button for your girl. Leave a comment down below because I want to get your thoughts on the topics I'm discussing. Share the video. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. You can do all of those things and don't forget to subscribe. So you guys, I wanted to come on here tonight and discuss the importance of true information. Now, a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken, we were hearing a lot about misinformation and disinformation in our media. And one thing about the truth is that it deals in reality. Okay, it doesn't need any defense because it's its own defense. So I want to start off by giving a definition of what the truth is. I looked up the definition of truth on Google, and it says, as you can see, truth is conformity to facts or accordance with reality. It is often understood as a property of statements or beliefs that present the world as it is, or as a relation between language or thought and how things actually are. And it's just as simple as that, you guys. The truth deals with the reality of what is. The truth is actual, okay? It's not fallacy. And fallacy is a lot of what I believe we're getting nowadays, whether it pertains to our news, just in general, what's put out in the media is a lot of fallacy. And I looked up fallacy. It says fallacy is a failure in reasoning that renders an argument invalid, often appearing as a deceptive, plausible sounding, but false argument. And one of the examples of a fallacy is called ad hominem, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It says attacking the person instead of their argument. For example, you can't trust his economic plan because he's a rude person. So it's like you're not dealing with what is because you have this preconceived belief about what a person is, or a certain characteristic that this person may hold. And I used to have that really, really bad. Like, I felt like you couldn't tell me nothing. If I knew something bad about you, it's nothing at all you could tell me. But then as I started getting older, I began to understand that you can learn from anyone. I mean, you can learn a lesson from anyone, you know. And I feel like when it comes down to our political world, a lot of people, and I gotta use Trump again, you know what I'm saying, because the media has used him for the past, decade plus now. But it's like, because they put this image out of him as being all things bad, then you still have a lot of people that have fed into that, and anything he does is like they reject it because they already have this preconceived fallacy about the guy, you know, based off of what has been put out by our media. And this is the same media that has put a lot of people out for the negative that turned out to be some actual good people. So it's important where we get our information from, you guys. It's important to do research. I'll never forget listening to Minister Farrakhan when he scolded the media, and I'm going to show you that clip here real quick regarding what he had to say.
I'm glad. Hell, I'm not hiding nothing. You need somebody to tell the truth.
That's right.
You need somebody that's not afraid to die for the truth, that you could be made free. Because you're not free. And you don't really know what it means to really be a free white person, a free black person, a free Mexican, a free Arab. If you're afraid to tell the truth, what future does your children have in a society where truth is brushed to the curb? I thank God for the young man that invented this wonderful technology.
Steve Jobs. Yeah.
Steve Jobs. That's the man that's freeing the whole planet where Zbigniew Brzezinski could say, yesterday it was easier to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people. Then now he says it's easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people, because the genie is out of the box, the cat is out of the bag, the people all over the world are waking up. And you need to wake up and free America. Then you'll have.
So that was Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking to the press. This came after the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi was a leader of Libya who was assassinated in 2011 by the West, by our country. And so the thing of it is our country was reporting that he was a madman killing his own people. But then when you look at his news in his country, it was like completely opposite of what we were getting in the States. So prior to his assassination, Minister Louis Farrakhan had held a few press conferences trying to come to his defense to expose what was going on. But of course, the mainstream media didn't pick up on the story. And unfortunately, he was assassinated. So during this press conference, Minister Farrakhan was talking to the press, telling them about how they were taking so long to report on, stories that were important, how many of them feared telling the truth because they would lose their jobs. And he was telling them, we don't have a democracy if we don't have a free press. And we know that we're a constitutional republic, but they love to talk about democracy and we need to save our democracy, but you don't have a democracy without a free press. And he was telling them, what future does this country have when truth is pushed to the curb? I mean, what future do your children have when you all will not report to the American people the truth? And so when I think about the truth, you guys, I always think of from a biblical perspective, because if you're a believer, you know that Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the light. And so this is a narrow way. It's not a broad way, where with a broad way, you have all of these different ideologies and what do you think and who do you believe? And it's so much confusion that comes with that. But with this narrow way, it's just strictly what it is. It's actual and it's factual. Okay, it's no room for doubt. It's no room for confusion to come into play. It's just strictly this. If God said this is a man, he created man and male and female. He created he, him. That's what it is. Point blank and period. It ain't, oh, well, what pronoun do you want today? How do you feel today? And no, it's one truth. And truth is based in reality, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not. It's all reality. It's not fallacy. And so I wanted to go furthermore into what Minister Farrakhan had to say.
Other cities. Why? Because they're not looking to you as a source of information for them. Look how long it took you all to talk about what was going on in New York. It took you 2 weeks because the same people that controlled the banks controlled the media.
That's right.
Okay, so there you have it right there. He said the same people that control the banks control the media. And that would make perfect sense, because it's interesting that if you don't go along with the narrative, you have censorship. It's people that have been blackballed and blacklisted because they're coming out with the truth, or they're speaking on actual things that are bought and paid for. Media, whoever's behind it, does not want to be exposed. And I would say that anyone that's trying to keep the truth from coming forth or trying to censor truth is none other than the devil himself. Even God gives us the ability to choose what we want to believe or choose how we want to live. I mean, he tells us the consequences of it, but he still gives us the right to choose. So when you have someone that's trying to suppress the truth and trying to keep you bound to a certain narrative or a certain ideology, then that's someone that's trying to control you and keep your mind captive. Okay, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So that means if I'm walking in freedom, I'm walking in truth. If I'm walking in anything other than truth, I'm headed off the cliff for the most part. So it's just interesting that he said that, because I heard like some years ago how the Federal Reserve was instituted in this country in 1913. Prior to that, if I'm not mistaken, our money was backed by gold. But when the Federal Reserve came in, they took away the gold standard from the money. So our money pretty much is not backed by anything. It's just like paper being exchanged for goods and services. And I heard a minister say, how much more gangster can you get when you can offer some people some paper in exchange for some actual tangible goods and services, you know? And I heard a lot of people over the years state that that was pretty much the end of America as we knew it when the Federal Reserve came in. And it reminds me now that Gaddafi, Libya, didn't even have the Federal Reserve in that country. They didn't have a central bank in Libya prior to his assassination reportedly. But up around the time that they were moving in to assassinate him, they were already plotting and planning to put a bank in Libya. And now I'm sure now that he's been assassinated that they've accomplished that. So it's something with these bankers, you know, that are connected to the what they call the elite families, the Rothschilds and the Rothsteins, or whatever the names of them are. It's something with all of that playing a part in our media, playing a part in the truth coming out. Okay, because when you have the masses of people that are being, you know, given a vision that's a lie, the tell-lie vision, from the tell-lie vision, then it's a reason behind all of that, and it's not for our benefit, I would say. So it's very important to get the truth, you guys. It's very important that we ourselves, you know, are responsible for where we're getting our information and who we're getting our information from. You know, it's important. And that's the reason why they wanted to censor social media, because social media, like Minister Farrakhan said, has awakened a lot of people. Because a lot of things that we see on social media, we would have never known if we just only had the mainstream media to depend on. So when he made that statement that Zbigniew Brzezinski said that yesterday it was easier to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people, that makes sense. Because yesterday, and years back, you know, prior to social media, we only had pretty much one source of getting our information, which was the mainstream media, unless you was like a world-class traveling connoisseur or something. You know, for the most part, we got the news from a few channels off of television. But now we have all of these sources of information, all these social media platforms where people are sharing things from all over the world, and it's awakening a lot of people. And it has a lot of people panicked now, because now the truth is coming out. And when the truth comes out, people, their minds become free. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. We would have never known this if we just had CNN and Fox and, you know, and MSNBC to depend on for our information. So yeah, he said today it's easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. Yeah, I can believe that today, because look at what happened with COVID. You know, a lot of people weren't buying that narrative that this was just considered to be like a plague of Egypt, and they had everybody fearful and this many new cases. A lot of people, when it first was announced that we had a pandemic, a lot of people were on it. They was like, no, this is government plan. This is something right about this story. Okay, and it turned out to be pretty much a lot of deception with that, because the media was trying to control the narrative. And anybody that came out to speak and try to give information, you had doctors, people that had studied and practiced for years, nurses that were trying to come out and give information on what could help cure the virus. They were censored, they were silenced. A lot of them were fired from their jobs, and some even voluntarily quit. So it was like a whole mess, and that's what you have when you have a media that is bought and paid for, and you have everybody as working hand in hand like some parrots, some mockingbird parrots, to put a narrative out to try to sway the masses in a certain direction. So I'm going to end it off with this, you guys. This was a quote by President Trump regarding our news.
Well, when you report fake news, no, When you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Mr. President, over the course of
Just like President Trump said, when you give fake news, you are the enemy of the people. And anyone that is not dealing in truth is your enemy. Point blank and period. Because they're deceiving you, and it's not for your benefit, it's for theirs. Okay, it's just like being in a bad relationship and a person is a player running game. Okay, it's because they have some form of motive or something that they're trying to personally gain. But if a person comes up front and tell you, hey, baby, I'm a player, I like to have my cake and eat it too. And it's like, okay, now it's on you to decide with that information what you're going to do with it. Because you can't blame a person that ain't gaming. But when a person is giving you the truth straight up, then, hey, that's for you to make the best decision that you can make. There's no deception with that. It is what it is. And that's why it's so important, you guys, that we are given true information. President Trump used to call the media fake news all the time, and then he changed it from fake to corrupt. And pretty much it was all of that. Because you have a media telling you for years that the former President Biden was the most mentally and physically fit to serve, but you constantly seeing him falling over bicycles, falling up the steps, falling over nothing, bumbling, mumbling, getting lost in mid-thought while he's trying to talk, can rarely talk. It's like, wait a minute, something ain't right about this. Why are they constantly feeding us this? And then you have all these bought and paid for reporters regurgitating and parroting it out what they want the narrative to be, and it was just like in your face lies, just straight lies, trying to tell you that a man is a woman. No, we know these things are not true. These things have been established from the beginning of time. So you're trying to take God's word and make it out of a lie, and it's not. It's something that you cannot do. It's something that's established, something that was here before us, something that's here now, and something's going to be here long after we're gone. So you can't turn the truth into a lie, no matter how many times you try to run it, no matter how much you try to manipulate it, no matter what you say. You want to make one man out to be fit, the most physically fit, and then the one that is mentally fit, and stuff, you want to say that they're not. Okay, just totally trying to twist and turn narratives and twist and turn the news. The truth is what it is. It's just that. And it's seen. Like when you telling us that Kamala and Trump was neck and neck in the polls, this is a tight race, but then we look at the election map and it's all red. Come on now. It's deception going on there. So it's important, you guys, that we, like I said, are responsible for where we're getting our information and not just taking everything for face value. Because nowadays there's a lot of deception that's going off into the world. And God said if it was possible, they'll be able to deceive even the very elect. So the one main way that we can know when we're getting the truth is to abide in the truth, which is God's word. So I'm going to leave it off like that, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts below. And if you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up, and I will talk to you later.